Alright, I put together a video for removing the glass only off of a Galaxy S3. I've done quite a few of them. To be honest with you, I've demolished 3 of them right off the get-go. But after that, I've been successful with every one I've done. It requires about 30 minutes, a lot of heat, and just the pace that you work at is going to be all dependent on your heat gun and how well the glass starts to come up. As you can see, this phone was cracked really, really bad. Sorry about the poor video quality. I did this. The only thing I had around me was an iPhone, and I want to make sure I got this on video. But the first thing you're going to do is I heat it pretty thoroughly, and then I use a razor blade to start the process. The majority of this, 95% of this is probably going to be done with a business card. You'll use the razor blade to get started. Here shortly you'll see me insert a business card, and then you'll use a razor blade at the very bottom. You never want to keep the heat gun in one spot for too long. Obviously that's going to cause damage. And trust me, the screen gets very, very warm. Now, I always like to start at the top of the phone. You have that area at the very top that's not attached to the LCD, so it's a good spot to get started. Prying away with the razor blade, you pull the glass out just far enough to actually get that business card in there. The reason I use a business card is you don't have to worry about it being too sharp and scraping anything along the edge, the frame or anything. You also don't have to worry about it gouging the LCD. Again, you want to make sure that you're using heat repeatedly, very often. And, and when you start doing these, once you start getting good at them, it's all going to be dependent on your heat gun, how much to use, how hard to press on the business card. And it's really all going to be dependent on um, your specifications, what you're used to, what kind of working conditions you have. So, as far as the business cards go, the the type of business cards we have use a high gloss finish on them that makes them durable, keeps them from fraying, and slices through the adhesive pretty good. And as always, continue to heat up whenever you can. You'll see here in just a second, I'm going to get a second business card started in here. Sometimes if the screen isn't cracked as bad as it is right now, you can just sit there and go back and forth with each business card and just kind of slice it. Later on in this video, you'll just see where I go from 2 business cards to 1 and basically just saw with it back and forth. Alright, we're just going to speed this up here a little bit. Obviously, you kind of hopefully get the gist of it. We're going to get 2 business cards in there, and then I'm eventually going to, go back and forth with the one business card until we just get one in there. Once you get one in there, yeah, it goes pretty smoothly after that. It just slices down. The business card is wide enough to span across the entire screen and then some, so you're able to grab a part of it on each side. All right, we're just going to speed this up a little bit. Um, Pretty much, we're just going to saw back and forth with the one card, heat it up. Heat's the key. Did I mention heat? Heat does a really good job. Um, but no, you're just going to take the card back and forth. You'll see, I mean, go slow. I mean, like I said, I'm so used to knowing how much pressure I can put on a card. You'll notice on the screen where it starts to separate, the glue will just shoot down the screen. And you can see where it's separating. So once we get to, um, we're just going to go back and forth, and once we get to the bottom there, that's when you never want to pull off the digitizer once you get to the bottom. Down at the bottom, you're going to have the lights that control your menu key and your back button. Keep in mind too, depending on how hot your heat gun gets, you're going to want to maybe stop, let it cool down for a couple minutes. There's a couple times I had to stop with this one because the assembly on the back was starting to get warm. You never want to use too much heat. Obviously, you're going to ruin the internals and possibly damage the screen. And, take your time. This this video is 30 minutes in full, so it's not a whole lot of time. Um, just trying to speed it up by a couple extra minutes, it could cost you, a couple $100 in damage. All right, so once we get down to the bottom, it opens up pretty quickly. Like I said, you don't want to pull on it too far or too fast. And once we're pretty much done with the business card at this point. We're going to use the razor blade at the very bottom to actually separate the home button and back button cable from the glass itself. You'll notice I start to heat the bottom up again. The um, the digitizer cable where the home button and the back button reside, they're held on there with some pretty tight adhesive. I'll use the razor blade to kind of just pry out. You notice I start, if you're looking at the phone, I start on the left side. The right side is where it actually connects to the digitizer at, and that cable spans across the screen there. I just use the razor blade to cut some of the adhesive that's on the screen itself, but be very careful when cutting that cable. There's really just 2 points there. You just got to try to get underneath that and pry it up a little bit. I try to use a brand new razor blade every time I do this, just to keep it as sharp as possible and angle it towards the screen itself. You really don't want to, you tear these and yeah, you're going to have to replace that whole thing. Something to think about once the glass is completely off the front there. Your home button is left there. You just want to be careful with that. Right now I'm just picking some of the extra adhesive off that's on the assembly itself. Be very careful with that ribbon cable. It's very sensitive, it can rip very easily. Having these needle nose tweezers is a godsend. I couldn't do it without it. Peeling up the adhesive along the sides and at the very top, I always put new adhesive on. With so far, I haven't found anything skinny enough to go along the edges, so I custom cut my own strips. I haven't really looked very hard, and I'm sure you can find something on eBay or Amazon, someplace like that, to get adhesive that's gonna to fit around the edges. I have an X-Acto knife and cut my own. I mean, it's not that hard. All right, and what you're looking at here is there's still that sticky adhesive that adheres the glass to the digitizer itself. I will have a second part of this that's actually going to show how I remove it. But for now, I always like to test it at this point just to make sure that the LCD and digitizer is still working. I don't know why I put the backpack on for whatever reason, but I did. And here we go. You're going to see it light up, and thankfully we have no cracks. At this point, we're just going to touch the screen and see how well it reacts. Make sure there's nothing damaged, and move on from here. Again, we'll have something else together here that's going to show how I remove that adhesive off. Thanks for watching.